Chapter 1. The Discovery. In the cavernous expanse of his subterranean laboratory, Dr. Adrian Falkner stared transfixed at the computer screen, the pulsating hum of machinery matching the rhythm of his accelerating heartbeat. Above him, the storm raged over Iceland's volcanic landscape. But here, deep within the rock, a different kind of storm was brewing, one that echoed with the triumph of human ingenuity. After 2 decades of relentless pursuit, Adrian had finally unveiled a miracle, a formula that halted and even reversed the process of aging. Dubbed the Elixir of Time, it was a discovery that could rewrite the laws of nature itself. For Adrian, this was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was a tribute to his late mentor, Professor Elias Berg, whose cryptic journal had been Adrian's guiding light through the labyrinth of biochemistry. Yet, as Adrian gazed at the vial containing the glittering elixir, a chill crept down his spine, a premonition of the chaos about to ensue.
At that moment, Elin, his dedicated and brilliant assistant, rushed into the lab, her eyes wide with excitement and unspoken concern. "Dr. Falkner, it's magnificent, but there's something unsettling. I received intercepted satellite communications mentioning our project. Someone knows."
Before Adrian could respond, the laboratory's security alarm blared. Red lights bathed the room, casting long, frantic shadows across the walls. A quick glance at the surveillance monitor showed dark figures moving with military precision through the storm outside, scaling the cliffs towards their hidden oasis. Emerging from the cocoon of their scientific reverie, reality hit them severely. They were being hunted. As the first whispers of thunder echoed through the lab, Adrian grabbed a small thumb drive, his entire life's work compressed into its storage. Turning to Elin, he knew what they had to do.
"Ellen, we have to leave, now."
With the elixir safely stowed in a secret pocket of his insulated coat and the thumb drive in Ellen's hand, they fled into the network of escape tunnels carved into the volcanic rock, their futures hanging perilously in the balance. Chapter 2. The chase begins. Far from the warmth and safety of the laboratory, Adrian and Elin emerged into the biting Icelandic wind, their shadows merging with the dark landscape. The treacherous descent down the cliffs to their escape vehicle was a gauntlet, the howling wind almost drowning out the urgency of their situation. Behind them, the silhouettes of mercenaries gained ground, dark spectres against the tempestuous night. As they reached the bottom, Elin's breathing was ragged, her mind a maelstrom of fear and resolve. She hadn't anticipated that their scientific dream could spiral into dangerous reality overnight. Their pursuers were close enough now that she could make out the glint of weapons, each movement synchronized in a deadly ballet.
Reaching their vehicle, a rugged off-road SUV, Adrian fumbled with the keys, adrenaline lending urgency to his movements. "Ellen, check the backup supplies in the back. We can't afford to miss anything," he said, his voice strained but steady.
Inside, amidst the clips of rope and climbing gear, Ellen found the leather-bound journal of Professor Elias Berg. Over the years, its pages filled with annotations had served as a cryptic guide to their research. Now, more than ever, its secrets felt vital. Just as they threw themselves into the vehicle, a shot rang out, striking the rear window with explosive force. Shards of glass scattered like diamonds across the frozen ground, reflecting brief flashes of light in their descent. Adrian floored the accelerator, the tires slipping momentarily before biting into the ragged terrain as the SUV lurched forward. In the rearview mirror, the figures grew smaller, swallowed by the night, but their menace lingered.
"Adrian, why aren't we heading to the authorities? We could be safe."
"No time, Ellen. We can't trust anyone, not until we decipher this journal fully. It holds something crucial, and everyone will want it. We can't keep running indefinitely."
Adrian murmured, peering over his glasses at the open journal. The yearning in his voice mirrored the exhaustion etched into every line of his face.
"We need to understand what Elias was trying to tell us."
Ellen turned the pages delicately, her eyes skimming across the notes and diagrams. She stopped at a particularly dense section filled with equations and annotated sketches of a molecular structure eerily similar to their Elixir of Time.
"Elias mentions a key, a catalyst that stabilizes the compound for safe human integration."
She read aloud, excitement mingling with curiosity. Adrian repeated, his eyes lighting up with comprehension.
"Of course, the elixir isn't complete without it. But what is it?
They spent hours deciphering the complex code, uncertain whether it would lead them to safety or doom. Underneath the dense text, Ellen noticed an unusually neat line, almost as if it had been added much later.
Seek the solstice where shadows converge.
The cryptic message sparked a realization. An old story Elias had once mentioned about a hidden laboratory in Florence, dated back to the Renaissance, a place built by alchemists who sought the secret of life itself. Could Elias have hidden the catalyst there?
We have to go to Florence.
Ellen declared, urgency lacing her voice.
It fits the clue. The solstice, the shadows, it's the only way.
Before Adrian could respond, a noise at the door caught their attention. A soft scratch, then silence. Suspense tightened the air.
We were too focused, we didn't notice.
Adrian whispered, gripping the journal tightly.
Ellen nodded, eyes wide. The weight of their decision pressed heavily on them as the door creaked open a fraction. They weren't alone.
Chapter 4. An unexpected ally. An intense quiet followed as the door opened further, revealing a slender figure silhouetted against the dim hallway light. Adrian and Ellen tensed, bracing for confrontation. But as the figure stepped into the room, their expectations shattered. It was a young woman, her presence commanding yet unthreatening. She glanced between them before softly closing the door behind her.
I'm not here to harm you.
She began, raising her hands in a gesture of peace. Her accent hinted at a European heritage.
My name is Sophia, and I believe our interests align.
How can we trust you?
Adrian studied her with suspicion.
Because if I wanted your research, I'd have taken it already.
Sophia replied calmly, gesturing toward the journal. Her eyes were sharp and calculative, reflecting intelligence and perhaps genuine intent.
The men outside, there's a safe way past them, but only if we leave now.
Ellen exchanged a glance with Adrian. Trust was a luxury they couldn't afford, yet something about Sophia's demeanor suggested she had more than just her own benefits in mind.
Why help us? Let's say I have a vested interest in keeping this...
She nodded toward the journal.
Out of the wrong hands.
A distant noise from outside the hostel hinted at the presence of their pursuers. Hesitation was no longer an option. Spurred into action, Adrian grabbed his belongings, with Sophia leading the way. They slipped out through a hidden passage Sophia seemed unusually familiar with, navigating the labyrinthine corridors undetected. The night swallowed them once more as they emerged into Reykjavik's narrow streets. Sophia waved them toward an inconspicuous sedan parked discreetly in a shadowed alley.
We must cover significant ground before dawn if we're to reach the airport unnoticed.
As they drove through the sleeping city, Adrian's mind raced with possibilities. Each turn seemed to carry them further from danger, yet deeper into a web of intrigue that threatened to entangle them all. With Florence as their looming destination, a question hung in the air. Could Sophia truly be trusted, or was she just another player in this high-stakes game? And as the night wore on, Adrian couldn't shake the foreboding sense that they had merely glimpsed the edge of the secrets lying ahead. Chapter 5. The Shadows of Florence. Morning light unfurled over Florence as the trio arrived, the cityscape infused with golden hues of history and architecture. The cathedrals and cobbled streets whispered tales of the past, cloaking the modern city with an aura of timeless mystery. Adrian, Ellen, and Sophia navigated through alleys steeped in Renaissance glory, accompanied by the chatter of tourists and locals embarking on daily routines. Despite the facade of normalcy, the tension of imminent danger lurked beneath the surface, ever present in their hurried steps.
Where exactly are we headed?
Adrian asked, eyes scanning their surroundings for potential threats or hidden allies.
We're looking for a lab built in the 15th century, part of the Forgotten Alchemists Guild. According to the journal, it should be beneath Piazza della Signoria.
Recognizing the potential relevance of the cryptic solstice clue, they made their way to the acclaimed square. The imposing sculptures and shadowed arches bore witness to their silent determination. Sophia occasionally paused, scouting their surroundings with the vigilance of a seasoned scout. In the shadow of the Palazzo Vecchio, they found the inconspicuous entrance, an underground network of tunnels hinted at in the journal. Sophia expertly unlocked the hidden gate, revealing a spiraling staircase descending into the enigmatic underworld. Hearts pounding with anticipation, they ventured into the forgotten realm beneath Florence, each step inadvertently bridging time between themselves and the past's invisible architects. Inside, the air was dense with ancient secrets. The narrow corridors interlinked in a labyrinth, the walls echoing whispers of ghostly patrons. Torchlight revealed faded murals, alchemical symbols painted in shadowy frescoes. Elin eagerly turned to a passage inscribed with Elias's symbols, revealing a faded inscription.
Here it is. This chamber aligns with the solstice at high noon, casting a shadow that reveals a keyhole.
As the significance dawned on them all, an unexpected noise reverberated in the corridors, the steady thump of approaching footsteps, followed by hushed voices detailing the trio's presence. Sophia's expression shifted to resolve. Their second, unwelcome encounter was upon them, with the looming question of whether their sanctuary's hidden knowledge could be salvaged before it was too late. Chapter 6: The Chamber of Shadows. The tension in the air was palpable as Adrian, Elin, and Sophia hastened into the innermost chamber, grateful for the fleeting isolation it provided. It was circular, cavernous, and bathed in eerie shadows cast by fissures in the stone ceiling, designed meticulously to act in concert with the sun's solstice alignment. They moved swiftly, driven by the ticking clock, aware their pursuers hovered precariously close. Elin, tracing her finger over the weathered etchings on the walls, sought the elusive keyhole detailed in the journal. Time itself seemed to contract as she searched, their moments suspended in tandem with the chilling crescendo of nearing footsteps.
Found it.
Sophia, can we trust you to help us get this out of here?
Adrian's voice was tinged with urgency, confronting the inevitability of betrayal or loyalty.
My allegiance is to preserving what Elias believed in the potential for good. He'll carve us a path out.
As Sophia prepared to guide them back into the labyrinth, one misstep sent echoes cascading like shattering glass. Their presence was no longer speculative. The intruders advanced, determined to seize the elixir's power. Steeling themselves against the ensuing storm, Adrian knew there could be no falter now. The stakes were elevated, their destinies intertwined with the choice of confronting their nemeses or veiling the truth forever. Chapter 7: The Duel for Destiny. The chase through the labyrinthine tunnels beneath Florence felt like tumbling through time itself, the shadows morphing into spectres of long-lost defenders as Adrian, Elin, and Sophia raced through the stone passageways. Behind them, their pursuers were relentless, their intentions clear: to seize the catalyst and the elixir of time by any means necessary. Sophia led them expertly through the maze of tunnels, their path lit by flickering torchlight. But every corner turned and avenue traversed brought with it the palpable tension of imminent confrontation. As they rushed forward, Adrian felt the weight of Elias' legacy on his shoulders, the culmination of a journey meant to extend life hanging in the balance. Finally, they emerged into a broader chamber, a grand hall seemingly constructed for forgotten assemblies. This was where the final act would play out, nowhere left to run. Their adversaries poured into the chamber behind them, a cadre of mercenaries, orchestrated by an enigmatic figure whose face was shrouded in shadow, but whose intentions were anything but.
Dr. Falkner, all we ask is the knowledge you hold. Cooperation will ensure your safety.
The leader's voice reverberated through the stone chamber, carrying a tone both mocking and menacing.
This knowledge is neither mine nor Adrian's to give. It was meant to uplift humanity, not subjugate it.
Yet Sophia stood firm, her eyes glinting with defiance.
Then the decision is made.
He signaled to his men, who approached with measured intent. At that moment, a sudden cacophony erupted, the snapping sound of rapid-fire machinery. The ensuing chaos dismantled the immediate threat, mercenaries retreating as shadows rained from above. In the frenzy, Elin spotted an exit hidden beneath an ancient tapestry, recently revealed by their escape beneath the chaos. With Sophia providing cover, they seized this fortuitous escape, surging into the newfound passage as the cacophony behind them clashed against the tidal wave of shadows. Chapter 8: The Eternal Choice. Breathless and united in purpose, Adrian, Elin, and Sophia emerged into the fading light of Florence, the sun dipping beyond the horizon as twilight beckoned them into its embrace. They made their way swiftly through the city's vibrant heart, undeterred by the looming silhouettes of cathedrals and rising spires. In the safety of their temporary sanctuary, a secluded villa on the city's outskirts, they gathered their thoughts, the catalyst and the elixir of time resting on the table between them. With bated breath, Ellen posed the question that lingered among them.
So what now? The secret can change humanity, but can we control what follows?
Elias saw this as a beacon of hope, but the world as it stands isn't ready.
He acknowledged the weight of his decision, grounded in the consequences glimpsed throughout their ordeal. They all knew the truth. This was a path fraught with ethical turmoil, the elixir a double-edged sword, one that could either elevate or doom humanity.
But it doesn't have to remain a weapon. There are circles, those who seek balance, not power.
Sophia offered insight.
We must ensure it's safeguarded until humanity can embrace it wisely, by entrusting it to those who understand its weight.
Adrian nodded, the realization of relief mingling with a desire for protection.
We can seek out allies who share this vision. The knowledge can rest safely for a future that honors its potential.
Elin, adding to his resolution, suggested. Thus, they chose to dismantle the formula, spreading its pieces among verifiable allies. The catalyst locked away with guardians sworn to preserve its integrity. The long road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but united, Adrian, Elin, and Sophia felt that bonds formed through this tumultuous journey were fate's gift, sharing a whispered vow to honor Elias's legacy for as long as time permitted. As dusk turned to night, they stood as silent sentinels against the tyranny of time, serene in the knowledge that while life must remain finite, the hope for humanity remained infinite.